Could you please ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody to our board meeting. Sorry for the cramped quarters, but MHS is under construction and there's no chairs. So we have to cram you all in, so we'll try to get everybody in and out. So we want to start off with our award recognitions, and is Mr. Pierpato here?
Yes, he's here.
Oh, here you are. Come on in, Mr. Pierpato. Thank you. We have some more teams to congratulate.
Yes, thanks for having us. I know it's a busy night. I'd like to call up the baseball coach, Mr. Tom Sheedy, to announce the players from the county championship baseball team.
All the members of the Board of Ed, all the residents of Massapequa, and most especially our wonderful parents and players from the Massapequa baseball team. Another county championship. What we're going to do is I'm going to announce all the players of our team, and then they'll come up together, and we'll exit outside and give our certificates outside because of the tight quarters. All right? Peter Menino, Tyler George, Vin Mallon. They're going to wait. They're going to wait until they're all at the same time. Vin Mallon, Ricky Hillgardner, Ryan Annunziato, Tim Dolan, Liam Carroll, Tim Dorman, Dan Sohn, Frank Kelly, Connor Kelly, Jordan DiStefano, Matt Hannon, Nick Cooney, Anthony Matoro, Colin Alonso, Mike Velarde, Matt Castro Giovanni, John Reese, John Gilla, Bobby Stang, Dom Felicetti, Matt Menino, Carter D'Souza, Jerry Kurtstetter, Paul Delanto, and Eric Paulson. Nice work.
Yes. Aaron, you wanted to have the girls lacrosse team come up? Come on in, ladies, right here. Thank you for coming. I'd like to introduce head coach Erin Collins, assistant coach Tiana Perella. And she looks like one of the students. Girls lacrosse team they play in a power conference against Manhasset, Garden City, all the top lacrosse schools. After missing last year, kind of an acclimation period with new head coach. Started out slow, and then they just kept improving, getting better and better and better, playing 1 and 2 goal games the whole year. And then at the end of the year, it just culminated their hard work with the county championship. So congratulations, ladies. You want to announce the players?
And thank you for all the support, getting us back on the field and playing. It was amazing. Mackenzie Lieback, Callie Konstantinakis, Jolie Caramelli, Mia Baldinger, Kayla Hassett, Kimberly Greenblatt, Emily Fiola, Carolina Grasso, Shannon Craig, Jessica Gillard, Luciana Cardello, Jessica Linsky, Bridget Valentine, Alexis Yerbisi, Mary Coster, Brenna Signorelli, Hannah Pavisi, Olivia Marlowe, Kate Charlo, Kristen Burney, Caitlin Dorman, Nicolette Bacalino, Ava Lembo, Christina Ferdella, and Marissa Merlo. Yes, I used the roster. I wasn't like this. Wait, it's not ready. Are we taking it home? Yeah, I did. Oh my God, second degree.
Congratulations, ladies.
Yeah, just bring.
I'm going to give you the outside. Softball, Coach Castellani. Softball.
Softball girls. The coach is probably.
So right into the hot spot, right in the middle.
You can bring them right here. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, led by head coach Castellani. And where's Mr. Spina? Not here?
Not here today.
Assistant coach Mike Spina, coaching probably his son, right?
Yes, I think so.
For the first time in school history, we've come close, but these ladies pulled it off. First time ever in school history, Nassau County champions, and played a great game in the Long Island Championship, just fell a little bit short, so congratulations, ladies. The names of the girls,
Sure.
and then we'll go outside and give it out.
You want me to announce them?
Oh, you know the name.
We're not all here.
That's okay. You just the names of the
Emily Balducci,
We'll give it 2 minutes.
Antonia Busa,
Good stuff.
Catherine Caparelli, Juliana Cardello, Amanda Sarantani, Sophia Diaz, Sophia Diaso, Danielle Finn, Madison Ganji, Gabriella Giganti, Annalise Lane, Teresa Menina, Amanda Pinero, Ryan Starr, Catherine Stork, Mary Stork, Megan Stork, and Julia Hutz, and Kim Westenberg.
Gotta go in the back.
You can take a nap. You can take a nap.
Can I go on the floor? Can I yell?
Go ahead. Just get someone to go with you. Just go ahead.
Okay, get down.
No, guys, don't do that because I'm so like sorry.
Like in front of you guys, okay.
All right, one. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right. No, just.
Congratulations.
All right, we'll see you back in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. That's what I said. All right, Coach Eaton, boys track. We're here to honor a late addition to the roster, a champion, attained a distinction higher than the county champion. It's almost like a Long Island championship. You want to talk about Michael Fulgano?
Michael won the intersectional 110-meter high hurdles. Intersectional is where they have all 3 county classifications, and ran a great race and defeated one of his nemesis in the 110-meter hurdles. He did a great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Coach. All right. Yeah, bring them in. You just put them right up. You just got enough. Someone here, right? Correct. Come on in, ladies.
Come on.
Assistant Coach Rich Langston here, representing the girls' spring track and field team. Congratulations, ladies. Quite an achievement.
This is our 8th county title in the last 20 years. As we go through the last week and a half, the next 4 or 5 days with the Olympic trials, Massapequa has sent 5 people to the Olympic trials in its history. 1 man, 4 women. One of the women took 4th, which means that she didn't go. The other gentleman, he took 5th, he didn't go. But more importantly, before they had ping pong diplomacy in 1973, he was selected to run in China before Richard Nixon went there. There's a big history with track and field. First started with men, now with women as well. These girls should be very proud of themselves. We had 1 woman who was 3-time county champion this year in 3 different events. She broke the school record in 2 of them. We have 2 other ladies who are not here today, but they broke the record in the discus and the shot put. Many of these ladies are all county, and I'm going to read their names right now. Allie Anderson. Jen Anglin. Caitlin Biggin. Michaela Brennan. We'll give you at the end. Carly Brophy. Sorry. Michaela Sikora. Ava Corsia. Ella Corsia. Ella Doherty. Got a lot of girls. Georgia Duncan. Carly Efton. Emma Foreman. Giovanna, you just call her G. Katie Geiser. Maddie Gerby. Bella. They're like Cher, they have 1 name. Maddie Roosevelt. Emily Haggerty. Robbie Jarsky. Jill Johnson. Santi Karras. We call her the Big A, Alexandra. Carly Langer. Angela Langone. Alyssa LeBron. Elisa Levitt. Casey Madigan. Caitlin McClanagan. Tara McWilliams. We're getting there. Sophia. Emily Malloy. Talia Marisi. Bridget Murphy. Jenna Muscatello. Kate O'Connell. Kate O'Farrell, Skylar, Autumn, Evelyn Russo, Vicky Samaras, Kayla Schuler, Alexander Stashin. I'm going to stop right here. Alexander is running for Villanova, one of the top programs in the nation next year. She's our 5-time county champion. We're going to dearly miss her. Caitlin Steele, Julie Strazier, Grace Trotter, Jenna Whalen. Jenna Whalen's father was the first Massapequa state champion in wrestling.
That's correct. 1982. I still could take him down. He was my best friend.
That's why I said it.
You feel Rich, perfect.
Yeah. And that is it. Sorry we took up your time.
Get real close together, face that way, so your parents can take a group photo. Turn, face that
Are we taking down our masks? Yeah,
This is worse than a wedding.
All right. Congratulations. Be back next year. Defend your tribe.
I was going to. Monday.
Monday? We don't even have. Oh, I'm out right now. The end person.
Thanks, Coach. Great job. Get right outside. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Once again, Mr. Mercado, thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, what a beginning. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. Back to business. First up is minutes approval. May I have a motion, please?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Personnel appointments and personnel actions. May I have a motion, please?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next are non-certificated appointments. May I have a motion, please?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Mr. Radford?
California Dreaming, one of my favorite songs from the group The Mamas and the Papas, which brings me to Carol Pine, a valued member of the business office team who grew up in California, went to Roosevelt High School in Los Angeles, and is retiring soon. Carol's work for school districts spans 36 years, 33 of those at Massapequa. In 1985, Carol was hired by Nassau BOCES and worked in the program for vision impaired as typist clerk. In 1988, Carol was hired by Massapequa, and she was fulfilling the role of a typist clerk at Burnham Middle School. Then in 1992, she made the big move up to central office, and she was hired in the business office as a typist clerk in accounts payable. And then in 1993, she was promoted to account clerk. And in 1999, because she was doing an outstanding job, she was promoted to senior account clerk. She continued to do that outstanding job, and in 2003, she was promoted to principal account clerk, who is, in essence, the supervisor of the accounts payable department. And Carol, I can tell you, I've worked with Carol for 22 years, and I can tell you that she has done an outstanding job in accounts payable. She is the gatekeeper for checks and payments to vendors, and like almost nothing gets by Carol. Outside of work and certainly being at home, you can find Carol officiating high school volleyball games and being a referee. But I'm sure her retirement will afford her to be able to spend more time with her husband Paul, who grew up in Massapequa, her 3 children, her 2 grandchildren, and enjoying some hobbies of cooking and gardening that we know she enjoys. So I just want to take this opportunity to wish Carol all the best, thank her for a great job, and wish her a happy, healthy, and long retirement, and we will miss her.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And on behalf of the board, we wish Carol well in her retirement and thank her for her many dedicated years of service with the district. Are we up to resolutions already? Okay. Does anyone have any questions on the resolution? All right, I'll get started then. Just close here. Okay. Number 1, resolve that the Board of Education approve the IEP recommendations as per the attached. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 2, whereas on May 6, 2021, the Board of Education voted to access Erin Mosier, a teacher in the social studies tenure area. And whereas, due to circumstances arising subsequent to said vote, the Board of Education now wishes to rescind the aforementioned action. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education hereby rescinds its action accessing Erin Mosier. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Did you want to speak to that? Or
Other than to just say hooray?
hooray?
Hooray.
Number 3, resolve that the Board of Education approves the collective negotiations agreement between the Massapequa Board of Education and the Massapequa Federation of Teachers for the period July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2022, and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Do we need to discuss this one,
Not really. This is just implementation of the MOA into an actual contract. It took us a year, but we got it done.
or? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 4, resolve that the Board of Education approves the memorandum of agreement between the Massapequa Board of Education and the Massapequa School Nurses Association for the period July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2025, and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes, very pleased to announce that the Massapequa School Nurses Association and the district have come to an agreement on our contract subsequent to the one that is just expiring next week. The new agreement that you'll be acting on is a 4-year agreement that goes from July 1 of 2021 through June 30th of 2025. The summary of events here is that the nurses' primary piece is that they will receive salary increases in year 1 of $6,500 added to each step, and a revised salary schedule that moves the total number of steps from 25 to 17. In years 2, 3, and 4, they will receive 1.5% increase on each year plus step in increment. For that provision, the district will receive a handful of contractual provisions, one being removal of reference to seniority when appointing nurses to extra compensatory programs, an increase in the health insurance contribution from its current percentage of 17% to 20% over the course of the next 3 years, and a capped health insurance declination, clarification on when personal days may be used, and consistency in the length of day with all nurses working a 7-hour and 50-minute day. So we're very happy to enter into this agreement with nurses. They are consummate professionals. They were consummate professionals working with us through this entire process. We are very happy and thankful to in agreement with this agreement.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And of course, we'd like to say thank you, of course, to the nurses for getting this together, and of course for everything they did this year. We know they had to go above and beyond, like so many of us in the district, but they really had to shoulder a good brunt of the healthcare for our students this year. So we're grateful.
Absolutely.
We're absolutely grateful. Thank you so much. Number 5, resolved that the Board of Education approve the stipulation of settlement for student number 228-180-125 and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 6, resolved that the Board of Education approve the stipulation of settlement for student number 228-180095 and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 7, resolved that the Board of Education approve the stipulation of settlement for student number 227-010-150 and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 8, resolved that the Board of Education approve the stipulation of settlement for student number 224-180028 and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 9, resolved that the Board of Education approve the stipulation of settlement for student number 225-180036 and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 10, resolved that the Board of Education approve the stipulation of settlement for student number 224-180093 and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolved that the Board of Education approve year-end appropriation adjustments for the 2020-21 fiscal year amounting to $3,192,094. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Eichelm?
Thank you, Mrs. Wachter. I'm pleased to report that as a result of the great financial condition that the school district is in at the end of this school year, the district is able to recommend needed maintenance projects at all buildings, as well as getting a head start on necessary computer replacements. So the lion's share of this appropriation adjustment consists of those items, as well as providing what we needed to provide this year for COVID supplies, for masks, for shields, etc. And so that helps to rebalance the book. So with your approval, we will get started on doing those needed maintenance projects and a head start on replacing computers that need replacement through Nassau BOCES. That will also help us in next year's budget and the following budget to help the budgeting process.
And we'll get an aid, we'll get the aid.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically the computers are going to be purchased through Nassau BOCES, and as a result of that should generate about $500,000 in BOCES aid associated with that computer purchase.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 12, resolved that the Board of Education approve the consultant contracts listed below and authorizes the board president to sign said contracts. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 13, resolved that the Board of Education authorize payment for legal services to Joseph W. Carbonaro, Esquire, in the amount of $8,241.80 as per the attached. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 14, resolved that the Board of Education award transportation emergency contracts for special education students for the period of July 1 through August 31, 2021, at an anticipated cost as presented and authorizes the board president to sign said contracts. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Do you speak to that, Mr. Eichelm?
Sure, certainly the word emergency is in there, so I just want
Yes.
to clarify that. So we have transportation needs over the summer for our students, and we are part of what's called the Southeast Nassau Transportation Cooperative. The cooperative went out to bid with our specification for transportation we needed. However, no contractors bid for the schools that we need to go to. So the state allows you to, authorizes you with their approval, which we have gotten approval, to issue what's called a 30-day emergency contract. So we did go out for not a bid, but quotes, and got a competitive quote from a contractor. And since the state has authorized this, it's also eligible for all the transportation aid that would come with purchasing transportation services for our kids. So that's where the word emergency comes in. It's the state term when you're not going out for the formal bid process, but they're authorizing you to purchase those services outside of that bid process.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 15, resolved that the Board of Education authorize and approve School Source Technologies LLC to develop and prepare a proposal for a school transportation request as documented as per the attached. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Adcock, this is for the transportation consultant?
It is, so I'll just clarify this. For next year, we have our large bus service during the 10-month school year. So for the 21-22 school year, we do have a contract in place at a CPI increase as allowed by law. However, our transportation contractor has advised us that for the 2022-23 school year, they are not going to renew at CPI. They are going to want to bid. So what you're doing here is you're authorizing a contractor to write a bid specification for the 22-23 school year for large bus service. I will say that it is it's a large contract. I'm thinking right now, by the time the contract is awarded, it's probably going to be upwards of $12 to $14 million. And we know that from other districts in the last year, 18 months that have gone out to bid, their transportation costs are up significantly. So this specialist in this field will write for you the transportation specification for that contract and manage the whole request for proposal process.
All right, thank you very much. Hopefully you can get us a good deal. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 16, resolve that the Board of Education accept the bid results and award of the Southeast Nassau Transportation Cooperative, the bid opening of May 27, 2021, as per the attached. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Basically, what you are accepting the actual results of that transportation cooperative bid which is required.
Which was the zero?
Well,
That was
it's
the one
a
we didn't
zero
get
for
in.
us, but there are other
Ones
schools.
Oh, okay, you're accept, okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 17, resolve that the Board of Education award Palace Electrical Contractors, Inc. for McKenna Elementary School interior renovations in the amount of $367,000 as outlined in the attached documents. The lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 18, resolved that the Board of Education approves the holdover agreement for the Hawthorne Elementary School with Nassau County and authorizes the board president to sign said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Do you want to just give a brief about the Hawthorne?
Oh, sure. Basically for, I would say the last 12 to 14 years, Nassau County has rented the Hawthorne School as the police academy. And if you've gone past the school, you see the marquee they put out front, Police Academy, County of Nassau. Well, the county has built a new facility up at Nassau Community College, a new police academy. And so while they may need the building for the next couple of months while they transition between the new academy, this agreement provides for that because the contract would have ended June 30th. This provides as a holdover a few more months for them.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So next is correspondence, and as you can see, we had many correspondence this last month. I'm not going to read the list. It's listed on the agenda, and it'll be part of the minutes, and you can see the extensive list. And then that brings us to updates from the board. Obviously, we had a spectacular event on Monday, our high school graduation at Hofstra in person with all 546 students and their families. It was a spectacular night. Weather held out for us, yes. Thank goodness. So that was a lovely event that we got to attend. Cher, what else do you have? You have the senior?
Yes, we also attended the senior awards, Carrie and I. It's where the students earn scholarships and we announce them. I think over 100 scholarships must have been given out that night.
It was like 4 pages of tiny fonts.
So it's nice that our community comes out and helps our children and gives back to the kids. And it was, again, a special night to watch the kids receive all their awards. So that was last week. And then this week we had the Senior Athletic Awards, which was held outside in the back of MHS. And it was another beautiful day. It was held outside. They honored the senior athletes with their parents were there in attendance. They give out a white letter M, which is a special award.
The white letter award, yes.
And it was, again, another lovely afternoon feeling, getting back to normal.
And celebrating.
Can't forget prom.
Oh, prom. But we weren't invited.
We weren't there. We didn't go to prom.
They're in spirit.
Yes. I got to go to many pre-prom parties since my son is graduating, but we weren't at the prom, but we did hear it was lovely.
It was lovely.
So thank you for pulling that off.
It really worked out very, very well. You know, with all the uncertainties, and you still have to dance in your square, and you know, but it was just a regular, normal, wonderful, memorable prom.
Thank you everybody for putting that together for our kids. Gary, you have anything?
Well, we were invited, I think all the board members attended the superintendent's breakfast for the valedictorian, salutatorian. That was
Seems like ages
a
ago.
great event. And then I'd just like to add, I've been fortunate to be invited to some of the retirement parties. It was nice, for instance, to get invited to Mr. Priapato's and then Mr. Voigt, our retirement position as well as basketball coach. It's always nice and gratifying to have former athletes and former students come back to these parties. So it was gratifying. It just goes back to, you know, once a chief, always a chief, and it's a great district that we're all very proud to be part of.
Excellent, thank you. Janine?
And just to echo, graduation was beautiful. It was so lovely outside in particular. I know it was a little toasty, but it was beautiful. And I think we finally got to honor these students the way they should be honored in a normal fashion. And the fact that they were able to have their prom just like really warms my heart because they needed this. They deserved it. The valedictorian, salutatorian breakfast was excellent as well. It's so nice to honor those students and to get to know them and their families on a little bit more of a personal level, and to send them off with best wishes. And we also had our recap for the student advisory club that helps with educating our youngsters about social media and the parents, and we got feedback from them on their program and wrapped things up with them. And we also extended the program in the sense that we're now going to have everything up on our website so that parents can access the information, and also have an ongoing dialogue. That's something new that we're going to be doing, so that if parents have ongoing questions, they can send an email, and that will then be forwarded to the students so that they can answer and respond to any questions that parents may have regarding social media, how it operates, what to look for, how to secure their students' devices and things like that. So it wasn't just a one-time deal, it's something that's going to continue on. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Pisano, for running that, and to our principals, Ms. William, Mrs. Lowell, and all the teachers who help us facilitate that. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So now that we're getting a little bit more back to normal, I wasn't able to go to a lot of those events because they're happening during the school day, and I'm also in school, so I did miss out on some of those events. I also missed out on graduation because my own baby graduated from elementary school, and so that was a big thing. It was really nicely done. They did have to break up the grades by class, so my son only graduated with the students in his class, but it was a beautiful ceremony. And then we had the rest of the day to celebrate, and I felt good. I felt lucky as a parent to be able to see like my son experience, a little bit more normalcy. So it was great. And then of course all the prom pics and all the, other dances that.
The 8th grade dance.
Exactly.
That's right, the 8th grade dance.
Which was really nice. So thank you so much, to the district for everyone's hard work. It's just, I think the kids are really excited, and the parents as well. Thank you.
Just to get back to a little breath of normalcy, right? It's a wonderful thing.
If I could add one other note, I just want to, she's not in the audience, but acknowledge and congratulate Ms. Lowell for a tremendous first year through a tremendous, very difficult time. I thought she did a fantastic job. She had big shoes to fill, and she did a fantastic job, culminating with a fantastic job with the prom and the graduation. So I know we as a board are very appreciative of the great job she did for all of our students.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. All right, on that note, we'll move on to public comment. The Board of Education allows time at the conclusion of its regular meetings for comments from residents in attendance. Please note that any person wishing to speak during this time shall comply with all provisions of board policy. Although a total of 30 minutes is allowed for comments, the board president has discretion to adjust the total time. We remind you to keep your comments to 3 minutes and to conduct yourself in a respectful manner. Please address school matters only and refrain from addressing topics related to personnel matters or individual students. Such concerns should be discussed privately with the superintendent or administrator at an appropriate time. The board is here to listen and cannot provide immediate feedback or engage in open dialogue. Any necessary follow-up will be noted and provided at a later date. With that, I open the floor. Does anyone want to comment? Ms. Stein?
Hi. I know when you see me now, it's like, oh. But I don't want to bring us down from all of that excitement, but I just wanted to just express my concern regarding the finals for the secondary level. I, as a parent, was very upset when I heard, what was happening these last couple of weeks with the kids, and how my daughter was one of 7 kids in some of her classes, or 4, that took the exam. And in my house, it's not an option. They have to go. So, and that's our choice, and that's what worked for us, and it always does. And I'm not judging other parents, but I think that the correspondence that went out to parents was sort of giving them the option, and to stay home or take the test. And my daughter, it was a battle for 2 weeks in my house, because my daughter kept saying, but I don't have to take it. It's not necessary. If I have a good grade, I don't need to take the test. And, of course, being an educator, that's not how I run the house. So, no, it's not a choice. It's your teacher's giving a test, you have to take it. So I just don't know what happened. I know that back months ago at PTSA meetings, I expressed my concern regarding these finals, because I anticipated this sort of thing happening, and it happened. And now, how the kids who took the test now, what is the resolve of this? Because I can tell you, my daughter, her grade dropped 2 points after that, after taking that final. So what are we doing as a district to sort of, I don't know, help the kids that actually showed up? I mean, maybe they get extra points for actually showing up for the test, I don't know. But I was very concerned about it and not happy with how it played out the last 2 weeks. And I know a lot of parents are very upset. And, as PTSA president, I wanted to bring it to the board's attention and how we can come to some sort of resolution.
Dr. Sano, do you want to address that?
Sure. With regards to addressing any particular individual student and how their grade may have been impacted or even determined by the teacher, that's obviously a conversation we can have offline. We can have with the principal, we can have with the teacher who's in tomorrow. And what I can tell you mathematically, just from the standpoint of the way our formula works, and those who've been around know that we reduce the weight of a final exam from 20 to 12, and for a student's final average to ultimately go down even 1 point, they need to have performed anywhere from 10 to 15 points lower than they, on the final exam, than they were doing all year long. So, our goal, what I could speak to, and if everyone indulges me for a moment or two, I have no problem sharing our approach that was collaboratively developed and designed by all of the principals, the curriculum associates, on behalf of the teachers in the secondary level, really going back to, and I'm going to say it this way, going back to August, because our district is unique. Massapequa's, we're proud of our district in so many different ways, what we stand for, what we've stood for all year long, the things we've fought for on behalf of our kids, and in a lot of ways we want to believe we do it better. And in a lot of ways we did, specific to being able to maintain our instruction live and in person for the most part since the beginning of the school year. So going back to the summer, our teachers worked collaboratively with the administrators to design a distance learning plan, a hybrid instructional guide, and our grading policy. And our grading policy, with the understanding that this was an unknown year, we looked at eliminating the midterm exam because we wanted to maximize classroom instructional time, but we kept in the concept of a final exam that would count as 12%. And we shared all of that right at the outset of the school year with all of our parents through our back to school night. Actually, all of the grading policies were emailed to parents right at the outset. And early in the school year, parents were rightfully concerned about a lot of different things, particularly the Regents exams, because as you know, last year, the Regents exams went away. They were eliminated. We didn't know in September, November, even January, what the heck was going to happen with Regents assessments. But we assured parents, and I communicated with junior senior PTA, I communicated with PTA council, trust us, what we're doing in terms of final assessment would be fair and reasonable in terms of exams, and we didn't in any way, shape, or form believe that the Regents would be a fair assessment. Ultimately, it turns out that the Regents exams were even, students who were distance learners were exempt from the Regents exams. And we made the determination late March, early April, that we were not going to administer the Regents exams. We encouraged our students not to take the Regents exams because they wouldn't be aligned appropriately to what our students effectively were able to learn and be expected to learn. So we made the determination with our teachers proactively back in January. We as teachers would, in our departments, design final exams that would be more appropriately, effectively aligned to what they were teaching and what the students would be expected to learn. And that it would still count, it would always count as 12% of a student's grade. That expectation was always communicated. I believe that we communicated that from the start and throughout. We also, though, in planning, saw this as an opportunity for a bridge between the chaos that was this year under COVID and what hopefully will be a more normal 21-22 school year, where there will be graduation requirements back in place, where there's expected to be state assessments back in place, that there is no quote-unquote opt-out of, because many of the parents of children who decided not to take these exams, it's sad because many of them have never sat for a high-stakes assessment in their entire lives. And that's a sad statement, because they need to be prepared, not just for the remainder of the rigor of high school, but for what they're going to face after high school. But as a team, and this probably was one of the more important points, as a team of administrators, we decided in consistency with our health and safety protocols all year long, where students have been told and parents have been told on the health questionnaire, if your child has a headache, if they have any kind of symptomology whatsoever, stay home. But we weren't mandating that parents take their kids across the street to City MD, pay a $50 copay, and get a doctor's note. While that exists in policy for final exams, we decided that wouldn't be fair this particular year. In an effort to be fair and reasonable to parents, the expectation was laid out from us to our curriculum associates, to our principals, through our curriculum associates, to teachers, that students should take these final exams. They're going to be fair and reasonable. And if you work hard, guess what? Your grade probably is going to be right where you were, if not up. But be that as it may, the bottom line is this: we are disappointed, we are frustrated, we are upset. And you're right, there are a large number, depending upon the grade, not in all grades, but in some cases, some courses by grade, the percentage of students who showed up for their exams was far lower than it should have been. The great majority of parents decided to, either on the health questionnaire or by phone, call their children in sick. And the reality is, we're not questioning the students or their parents regarding their excused absence, because that's what it was. It was an excused absence. Even though in some cases, as we said, it was disproportionately high. We're very proud of the students that did come in and take their assessments, without question, and did what was expected of them. We're also proud of the teachers who juggled in-person, temporary, and full distance learners all year. The reality is, when I look at the data, and we will look at the data as teachers and administrators, we're finding that kids did well on the finals, for sure. We are also confident that teachers, in their discretion as the final determinant of grades for students, are taking everything into consideration. The craziness of this year, the accommodating manner in which the district, teachers, parents have tried to work on behalf of everyone, most importantly kids, but teachers as well. And when they determine a student's final grade, that they will be fair and reasonable, and that any one exam, particularly a final exam, should not disproportionately, negatively impact a student's overall average. That's our expectation. That's been communicated time and time again with our teachers as the final determinant, with their discretion, of final grades for students. So what it comes down to ultimately, I guess, Mrs. Stein and all the parents who, you're right, we've been collaborating all year long, we've been communicating all year long. I know our principals have communicated to their staffs, faculty meetings, memos, letters home. If anybody sees in the communication that we gave people the out to lie or to not show up for an exam, I'm not sure about that. What I'm saying is there was a reasonable approach to, we expect that students are going to take their final exam because it would be fair and reasonable. It would be a fair and reasonably aligned assessment, and it wouldn't hurt them. And they need to be prepared for what they need to finish in high school and in college. We also trusted in the concept of integrity. And at some point, we have to focus collaboratively as parents and teachers on teaching our kids, because we share this responsibility. This is a fact. We share this responsibility. We've got to teach kids to do the right thing at the right time for the right reason, because it's the right thing to do regardless of who's watching. And it's unfortunate. And I will wear that responsibility if there was any miscommunication or interpreted communication that didn't make it clear that these final exams were not optional. I couldn't also address problems that we didn't either know about or concretely were able to address leading up to the final exams, because it was our expectation and our communication through our building leaders and our curriculum associates that students would be well prepared for the assessments, they would be reviewed and prepped for the exams, and it would be aligned to what they've taught all year long. So the problem is that in some cases, more kids didn't show up than did. And that's unfortunate. We're looking at the data. It is my expectation as I peruse the data today, and I've seen it, that kids were not harmed, not only not harmed, but in some cases coming in and taking the exam boosted their grade 1 or 2 points. Those are facts. Individual cases notwithstanding, I'd be more than happy, because teachers are still here tomorrow. And CAs and building leaders are here next week. And we want to do everything reasonable to help our kids. You're right, other districts didn't give finals. That's true. But they also weren't able to provide the type of instruction that our teachers did and that our kids were able to receive. And that's kudos to us as a district and to our staff and to the teachers that had to juggle tremendous challenges all year long. So I don't mean to be long-winded, but I really think it's important that we share our collaborative approach that started back in August, continued through January, right through May. Did it fall apart apparently the last couple of weeks leading up to the finals? It sure sounds like it, in some way, shape, or form.
May I just say something,
Sure.
not to cut you off, but on not your correspondence, but on the district's correspondence, it specifically says, any excused absence from the final will exempt the student from the exam. So if I want to interpret that as, well, if we're not asking for doctor's notes, then any excused absence, my child is exempt. It therefore,
Sure.
that's the loophole that you just mentioned.
But the loophole is legitimate based upon all year long what has been an excused absence. Well, whatever a parent deems the justifiable, appropriate reason for a child not to be able to be in school. And all year long, we've been saying, if your child has any kind of symptomology, stay home. Don't worry about it. We're not gonna hit, this is not the year to be hitting kids over the head or parents over the head with clubs. This is about being fair and reasonable. If parents saw that as, well, wait a minute, if I excuse you, your grade gets prorated in the 4 quarters way more. Well, for some kids, that's not a good thing, because there's always that, we call it like the second and third quarter lag. For some kids, if you look at their report cards, the second quarter they tanked. Or the third quarter they may have tanked, or they may have had a bad marking period. Now that weighs more. So any parent that communicated with me personally, or with principals personally, or with their teachers, we said, well, listen, come in, do the best you can on the final exam, because we're going to prep the kids for it, and if they do well, it should benefit them, because it's our test. We built it, and it's not even, the windows were 90 minutes. The Regents exams are at least 2 hours. So, you know, yes, it does say an excused absence, but excused by whom?
Well, right, I'm not, but that's what, but no, because you had just mentioned the loop, like, if we put on a correspondence, any kind of loophole, that's what I'm trying to show you, is that that's the loophole, that if I say my child has a
I didn't say to take it.
No,
I said.
I'm not suggesting you did, I was just saying, I was just responding to,
Sure.
to a statement you made. That's the loophole that I believe people used was, well, I can call my child out, and now they're exempt, and the word exempt means absolutely no consequence.
Well,
and
it means that the 4 quarters are prorated.
Right, and for kids who do well, and I have to just say this, and I don't like to regurgitate hearsay. If I didn't hear it myself, I don't like to say it, but I know from many kids, because my daughter is a high schooler, and friends, that there was an element here that was like, well, if you're doing well, you don't really need the final.
An element where?
With the teachers, and I don't want to say that because I didn't hear it myself, but I've heard it multiple times from different kids and different parents that their children have said that. And I don't want to say, oh,
you're not the first person to share that. You're
okay,
right.
so then it's the elephant in the room. I don't want to be the one to say it. Teachers are saying this because I don't want to blame teachers for anything. But if a child hears that, they're interpreting it. They're going home telling their parent, I don't really need to take the test because I have a 95 in the class. So I just think there was bad communication or lack of communication between, and I know what you're saying because you and I, the junior senior meetings, we have brought it up, we have had the discussions, I called, we talked about it. I know that you tried to get that message out, but I just think that in this year, this was foreseeable in my opinion, that people would, if they were given, it wasn't as if the finals were 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, let's just say, and then there was a makeup week. Because then I think there would have been less of this, because now the kids would have had to make up if they were absent the day of. So I just think it was timing and communication.
Well, and that would have compelled the teachers to design a makeup exam in addition to an exam.
Well, I don't know what, but the result is my daughter, and again, I can only speak for my daughter, was one of 7 in a class that took a final. So that's not fair to those 7 kids.
Well, there weren't 7 kids that took you mean in the entire course that took the final?
In her class.
In her class.
There were 7 kids that took that final. And that to me is not equitable, let's just say, if we're going to use that word, because now
it's certainly not what we expect.
Right. I'm not saying the district expected it. I'm saying that it happened. Now how do we resolve it? Because now there are kids that took these tests, and they're going to get the 12% factored into their average, and other kids are exempt. And I know you're saying that 25, 25, 25, but a kid who has 90s, that's good. 25, 25, 25, 25. Because now they're still there.
Right, but the implication is that everybody who took the final exam did poorly and was hurt by it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, but there are kids, like, okay, I can only speak for my child, and I don't want to take up much of this time, but my daughter had a 96 in a class. She got an 89 an 88, I believe, on the final, and she has a 94 now. So her grade dropped. And a 96 to 94, I told her, it's ridiculous, stop, what are you fighting about? I mean, you know, whatever, but for a kid who's an overachiever, who every point counts to her, that made an impact on her, and and then that was an argument in my house. You see, you made me take these tests. So I'm just saying that there was not a fair level playing field, and then there was a loophole that parents and students, and maybe even some of the teachers interpreted, and everybody took advantage of it, and not everybody, but most, because we know that at least 50% maybe not have shown up for these tests.
Yeah, believe me, I'm not arguing what you're saying or discrediting what you're saying, and it's in this entire year, the concept of moving forward with anything from a final exam to anything is challenging. You're hoping, especially in a district this large, that we're doing things based on reason, based on logic, and that the communication with and among all of our staff is consistent, and that kids and their parents hear the message the same way. I don't know in any given year that that's a fail-safe, that happens, but if there was a, let's put it this way, I know where your concern comes from and I respect it. I'm not discounting it at all.
Right, I know.
I think the reality is we as a system, we're not expecting this to be the case next year, for sure. We're going to continue to, I've encouraged any teacher, any parent that has a question about how their child performed, if they came in and took an exam, to put a call into their child's teacher. Because that's really the most important relationship. See, and that's what we spoke about all year long. Because relationships between you and an educator, you know, when kids respect their teachers and communication is, like you said, clear, and expectations are laid out, and a lot of these problems don't exist. They don't even come home and say, Ma, I may not have to take the fun, oh no, Ms. Hanratz told me I got to take the test. I'm taking the test. It's the way it is. But your points are well taken. We hear you. We're looking at everything. I think it's some lessons learned. But if there were inconsistencies in communication among teachers, I wish I had known that specifically so that principals, curriculum associates could fix those things and address those things in the days or weeks prior to the administration of an exam. Because the expectation from the superintendent, from me, from the principals was, exams are being given, you're expected to be there. If you're really sick and mom excuses you, fair enough, got it. But we didn't expect those numbers in those cases.
So I was just asking, just to end, if there could be some sort of resolution to this. I ask that you consider maybe the no harm policy to those kids who did take it. I'm only asking you to consider it.
All right, thank you. Thank you for bringing up, like Dr. Favano said, I think a lot of lessons were learned, and if a particular child had a negative impact, then obviously contact your teacher and I'm sure that it could be worked out, because we don't want anyone to be penalized for showing up and doing the right thing. Thank you.
I think at the end of the day that, everyone can point fingers in different directions. It's beyond unfortunate what happened. I mean, I think that there were multi-layers here where things kind of fell apart. And I do think that it's important that it's learned from, but I think in the end, we have a problem. And I think we need to fix it. Because it isn't fair to those students that sat for the tests. And however we go about it, but I hope that it is something that we're going to be looking into to make sure that those students are not harmed in any way. Because it shouldn't have to be on the parent or the student to necessarily have to call in. It should be something where we're looking at it and evaluating it, because it is not fair for those kids who came in. It does matter points. Points went up and points went down, vice versa, but still, for them to be harmed in any way, I don't think is fair.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Virginia?
Hi, Regina Rodriguez. I'm actually continuing the conversation, but from a different angle. Before I begin, I do want to say my 3 children got an amazing education this year. Compared to my neighbors in other districts, can't complain at all. I pulled up a document from the district website. The name of the document is dated June 3rd, 2021. The local midterm and final exams policy. So that's under 5100. Students may be excused from midterm and final examinations only in the event of personal illness or death in the family, religious observance, quarantine, or required court appearance. Such absences must be verified with written medical or official documentation specifically substantiating the reason for the absence. Now, I know that there was an informal decision perhaps to not require that doctor's note or that substantiation, but how do you have a formal policy and not issue a separate amendment to that policy for this year that states very clearly you will not require that doctor's note? The problem that I see is that there's not a formal process to update these policies in a given year. That if you're going to change it, the board or Ms. Saikana should send out a formal communication saying policy number 5100 has been amended for this year to state X, Y, and Z. That's where the confusion came. Secondly, you go to the grading policy, you change policy number 4710 unofficially. And just to reiterate the point just raised, it can't be the parents have to call the teacher. All right, there was a blanket miscommunication and 50 to 70% of the parents and students, I don't even know the percentage, people took advantage of it. You can't expect every mother, every father to call the teachers and to discuss no harm. There has to be a blanket resolution. You have to even out the playing field.
Thank you. I'm Martha Manel. The kids, I'm sorry, let me stand. The same thing. You said exactly what I said, and I actually wrote you, and I wrote you, Mrs. Iconis, about, the kids should be given something for this. I said extra credit, extra points. AP kids usually get the 5 extra points when they take their test, when they, at the end of the semester, at the end of the year. Something should be given to them. And I actually wrote in my letter, and I wasn't even thinking of these things all year until the end, now that it became the end. I have a very good student, and he's a very good student. Does very well in all his classes. Did he have a problem in some classes this year? Yes, and I did communicate with one of the teachers. Do you know what I got back? Blah, 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 blah. She was so rude to me, it wasn't even funny. So I went to the head of the department, and you know what? She did nothing for me also. I just yelled at my son, told him, you forgot to do 2 homeworks, 3 homeworks. His grade was so low. He had hundreds, and his grade was like 71. I'm like, because you didn't do a homework? And I asked her, why can't you make up the homework? And my son is not, he's not an aggressive or a verbal child. He just says, I didn't do it, she's not going to accept a new one. And I always hear, oh, in college you're not going to be able to do that. My daughter's in college. Guess what? She forgot a couple of homeworks. Guess what? She did them and she's fine. She did quite well this year in college. And I just don't understand the attitude. So from there, I was done. And then when I heard about this, I was really done. Especially because I know there are kids at home. And I did bring it up. Kids at home take out their phones and they're cheating. And I know kids who were home because their parents were too lazy to get their butts out of bed and take their kids, saying, oh, my kid can't go to school because of COVID. Well, they can play football and run track and do everything else that they do. I didn't know you could stay home from COVID and then go to sports. That really pissed me off this year. And I just kept my mouth shut. I was just like, done. My son's doing well. I don't care. I have enough issues this year. But then when this all came up, and my son would come home every day this week going, so everyone gets to not go take a test. He never said, I'm not taking the test. He knew the proper thing to do is to take a test. I taught them from day one. They took every assessment, everything. I was not an opt-out parent. You tell me to take a test, you tell my kids to take a test, guess what? They're learning. And my daughter even said it. I learned from those tests how to take a test. So it's, that's coming from, when she was 18, she said it. So that's what my son learned also. But for him to come home every day saying, all these kids don't align, so they're allowed to lie and not come to school, and I'm the idiot going to school. I just wanted to bring that up because that's what my son learned, is that all these kids can lie, and they're not going to get a slap on the hand, but if he does one thing wrong by forgetting his homework, his grade was down in the toilet. I mean, you got to think of it also that way. These kids who did the right thing, they did the right thing. Us as parents did the right thing. And let me tell you, I didn't want to get my butt out of bed and drive him every morning either. Well, actually, I couldn't. And in my house, I just started driving 2 weeks ago for not driving for a year. My husband had to go very much out of his way to go and drive my son to school every morning and to pick him up because I couldn't drive. And there was no one else in the house to drive. So it just, it's very disheartening. And that's coming out of my son, saying how upset he is
that he sees that everyone lets these kids cheat. And meaning cheating just by maybe not cheating, but just not taking the test. That's cheating. And that's what he learned this year. And I think that's really sad. You know, he's learned that you don't follow rules. And you get away with it, and you're fine. And it's very exciting to me. It really is. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think a lot of this, what you're bringing, it has to be, we have to address it at some point. I mean, I know we will, but I'm just saying, I think it's good points. I mean, and I have to say, I think all of us up here are in the same boat. Our kids all took their finals too, so, and we got the complaints too, you know, when that came, you know, if they were one of 3 kids, one of 4 kids, one of 5 kids in the class. I understand this sent a terrible message, and hopefully we'll learn from this and try to figure out a way to address it properly. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Any other finals? Mine is completely off topic.
No, it's okay. Just to say your name, please, for the record.
I'm Janine Delgado. I'm an elementary school parent, so I didn't deal with any of that this year.
Lucky you.
But I do just want to say once again, thank you so much. My daughter's school year obviously ends tomorrow. Not everybody's does, but my daughter's does. And this year was phenomenal for her, and it was just, I'm so impressed with everything that you all did this year. So everyone in this room, thank you so much. You made a difference in my life, my daughter's life, and Mrs. Iconis, congratulations on finishing your final year. I know that this is not it for you today, but thank you for your service to us. I want to thank you also for how hard you fought for our students regarding masks. I'm still very upset that, you know, mandates have been lifted for everybody except for our kids. So I'm here once again just to urge you to please keep fighting this summer. We still have our 12-month students who are impacted by this. My children are going to have a 2-month break. Also, I know there was a document circulating from the Department of Health that came out yesterday stating any person who is over the age of 2 and able to medically tolerate a face covering shall be required to cover their nose and mouth with a mask or face covering when in a public place and unable to maintain or when not maintaining social distance unless such person is fully vaccinated. Governor Cuomo and the New York State governors have signaled loud and clear to me that they are linking this mask to the vaccine. It's no longer a conspiracy theory, it just feels like reality now. They're not gonna let our kids breathe until they get that jab. And for me, that's a hard no, like a really hard no. Homeschooling has never been in my vocabulary. I believe very strongly in public education. I'm a public educator as well. I will do whatever it takes to homeschool my kids if that mandate comes down, so I'm asking you to please galvanize this summer, stand strong, be brave in this fight, don't back down. Please join forces with other school districts who are like-minded, because I'm going to be fighting all summer, doing whatever it takes, and we need you, and we need all the other school districts too to be really loud about this, because this really needs to be parental choice. There's too many red flags for me. But that's it for me, but just thank you for everything.
Thank you, and I assure you we're continuing, we're already talking about what's going to come this fall and how, you know, how do we, you know, push back against it, because none of us want this in the fall. We want a completely normal school year. And you're right, who knows what they're going to decide. The governor seems to may lift for everyone else, but not the kids. But no, we're not done. We're not done fighting, and we tried for the end of the school year, and unfortunately it didn't. And but we haven't given up, and we thank you, and we continue to ask for the support from the community too, because you guys give us the energy to keep going, and that we know we're going the right way. So thank you for all you have done, because we can't do it without your support either. So thank you, and yeah, and I'm a hard no on the vaccines as well. So but thank you, and we'll continue to keep going. Anyone else? Yes. Say your name for the record, please. Yeah.
Okay. My name is Angela De Silva. I just want to reiterate what you have said. I have never been prouder. I'm an alumni of Massapequa, 1st through 12. I graduated in '93. My son is an EDLC student right now, and it breaks my heart to think I have to pull him next year. But that vaccine is not going in his body. So, and there are thousands of us throughout Long Island, and you know, and I have never been prouder to see you guys up there fighting. And I'm a remote learning teacher in Levittown right now, so I was very busy with my class working 15-hour days, but tomorrow's my last hour, and I'm right behind you fighting there. And so is my husband, so thank you for everything.
Thank you, we appreciate it. Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, I do have a question. My name is John Dusanenko. I have a son in Ames, now in high school, I guess. Could anybody in like 60 seconds or less just tell me what and Ms. Iconis, thank you very much for everything you've done. I've been in the district 13 years, living here. I've had different, Gary and I have old friends, associates, whatever. You know, so I've seen the whole process. I've gone through the whole high school process and everything else like that. For the next superintendent, could somebody tell me quickly what the procedure will be, or what steps are going to be taken, and how much of it is going to be public as opposed to how much is it going to be executive session? It's just something that I'm interested in for a few different reasons, and I'd like someone to just discuss that if they could.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
So I guess one of the pathways I think we're probably going to take is go with an outside firm, consulting firm, that'll help us manage through this process. Obviously we're going to take input from all constituent groups. And they use, and that's because of what they do. They interview different constituent groups, which it's community members, the teachers, administrators, everybody through clerical to custodian, and kind of get their input and then put things together. And then once that happens, then I guess we'll get the recommendations and who's there, and then the rest of the process we're going to have to kind of figure out. I mean, everything will be made public. We'll let you know what we're doing, how we're doing it, what steps we're taking, but we're really in the infancy because thankfully we have Mr. Convoy who's going to come for the next year and be our interim superintendent, so that gives us time to kind of do this correctly, to do this slowly, but I think that would probably be our first step, and that's how we have to start with the firm, and then they will help us kind of lay this out and how it looks, and then we'll definitely come to the public and say, this is our process and this is what we're doing. So you'll be in the loop, as far as every step of the way of what it's going to look like. So it's new, and we're gonna get the pieces together a little at a time, and then we will definitely share that so everyone understands how the process is going to work, because we want to make sure that everybody's has a say. It's an important job, and it's an important person, and to have, that'll be leading our district hopefully for a lot of years, and so we've got to make sure we have everyone's input and everyone's buy-in, and so that's my explanation.
So who would be the contact person then if somebody on the outside of everybody who you just explained would need to contact the board?
Like if someone was interested in the position?
No, not the position, but input on the position.
Oh, if someone wanted to be included? I guess me.
I've worked with your husband also.
Oh, you did?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do, yeah.
I'll have to let him know.
Yeah, so we do have a little bit of connection there also.
Right.
But I understand it's a big process, and I understand this is for the 22-23 school year.
Yes.
I get that. I just, I want this to be as open as possible.
Absolutely.
And, okay.
I agree.
Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. And is there anyone else? Okay. With that, I'll get a motion to go back into exec for legal consultation.
So moved.
And second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, good night, everyone. Thank you.